As we all know, there are thousands of motivational speakers, some good, some who leave a lot to be desired. Mr. Anthony Robbins is, I'm told, and I believe what I've been told, the most successful of the lot, the best in the world. He's only 33. He certainly is the highest paid motivational speaker in the world. He's chairman of a $1 million a year corporation. He's worked with just about all the top names in business, entertainment and sport, from Michael Jackson to Mikhail Gorbachev to the Los Angeles Dodgers, Chicago Cubs, even the America's Cup races. He's been a performance consultant for IBM, AT&T, American Express, just about everyone you can think of. His TV program, Personal Power, is the most successful program of its kind, seen in over 200 cities every week. His book, Unlimited Power, two of them, and The Giant Within, have both been bestsellers. And in whatever spare time he has at 33 years of age, he also runs the Anthony Robbins Foundation as a philanthropic organisation dedicated to assisting people who couldn't otherwise be reached. Surely it is one of the most phenomenal success stories you can think of. Anthony Robbins is in Australia to give a series of seminars and lectures, and if what he says is true, it'll be worthwhile the whole nation attending. Anthony Robbins claims to cause permanent changes in an instant, changes that will enable us to achieve our goals and dreams and to be happier and more successful people. And stop mucking around, that's what everybody wants. The young man is on the line. Mr. Anthony Robbins, good morning. Welcome to Australia. Lovely to have you on the program.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. It's a pleasure to be with you. I understand that you're a heck of a coach yourself and motivational speaker.
No. Not in the league. Down at the bottom of the table somewhere. What makes you different, though, do you think?
I think it's technology, really. I've spent the last 10 years of my life looking for answers, and instead of just looking to pump people up, I feel all pumped up and excited. And the metaphor I use, you're excited running east for a sunset, and you're going to have a problem. You have to have the right strategy. So I see today that technology is creating so much fear in people. It's creating rapid change, and it's displacing workers. Obviously, here at 11% employment, you're seeing that. And what we need is a human technology, something that can show us how to change quickly and how to create a change that's really lasting. Because everybody wants to change or improve something. I don't care if it's a businessman who's looking for the edge, or if it's a housewife who's now trying to make sure that she not only takes care of her kids, but she really feels like she has a life. People need ways to change, and what set my work apart, I think, is I went out and said, okay, we want to master basically 5 things in our lives. We want to take control of our physical bodies, our emotions, our relationships, our finances, our time, and our businesses, in essence. And what I did is I said, okay, who's the best in the world at this? So when I want to show someone how to take control of their body, I went out and modeled, for example, a man who holds the world's record for running 1,000 miles in 11 days. Most people don't want to run 1,000 miles. Try to imagine, Alan, running 21 hours straight for 11 straight days, sleeping only 3 hours a night, and being stronger in the beginning than you were at the end. This man shows people how to have more energy than you've ever had before. Without energy, you have nothing. I go and learn about finances and say, why is somebody here doing well in a recession while the guy next to him is doing poorly? I go interview John Templeton, the #1 money manager on earth for the last 40 years, find out what he's doing. I find people who have been in a relationship 25 years and they're passionate for one another, not just hanging out. Find out what do they do. And what I try to do is then take this information, make it simple, make it incredibly entertaining and fun, and so that people truly do use it. And that's helped to set us apart.
Yes. Do you feel, though, that if people don't understand the change, they're frightened by it? So part of the business of embracing change is enable people to understand how they fit into it.
Absolutely right. I think, in society right now, in Australian culture and also in the American culture I come from, we have a lot of mirrored images. We're in a place right now where we're going through what's called a paradigm shift, where all the rules are changing and people have just uncertainty. I was working yesterday with the Sydney Swans, and it's really interesting to see that so often people go into what I call learned helplessness, where they become conditioned by the challenges in their society or conditioned by a series of failures, till pretty soon they literally learn to expect less for themselves. These guys are phenomenal players. They're really committed. But when you've lost that many games in a row, you lose your edge. So what I was really trying to do is show these people how to reestablish the emotion of certainty, because most people are hoping they're going to get certain because they make enough money or because somebody loves them more or because something changes in the environment, but you'll never get that certainty outside yourself. You have to be able to produce that certainty inside yourself. I had a chance to be with Michael Eisner, who's the chairman of the board of Disney, and I got a chance to spend about 3 or 4 hours flying with him in his jet to New York City, and we were talking about this whole idea of vision, really clear about what you want, because most people do not have what I call a compelling future. Something gets them up early, keeps them up late, something gives them passion. And he was saying an interesting story is that when Walt Disney, when they finally came out and they opened Disney World and Epcot was opened, a reporter came to Roy Disney and said, gosh, this must be a bittersweet day for you. He said, because if you really think about it, he said, Walt never got to see this. And Roy Disney looked at him and he said, you're very confused, sir. He said, Walt Disney saw this, That's why you're seeing it.
That's right.
And
That's
the bottom
right.
line is, Walt Disney had a vision with such certainty. There was no, everybody told him he was crazy, but he's able to do it. And I don't care if it's him or I got to spend a few days ago, I was with Nelson Mandela for his 75th birthday. I mean, can you imagine 27 years in jail, and they give you a chance to come out just by recanting what you believe in and not giving up and being as old as he is in his 70s, and now he's a world leader. Regardless of whether you agree with his politics, that is a man of unbelievable certainty and intensity. Everybody needs that certainty, and few people know how to get it. And what I do in my seminars is show people how to produce it today, not someday.
Yes, it's what you said before in the word passion, and very few people have that sort of passion, or are embarrassed by expressing it or making it. I should just tell my listeners, because I'd like you to comment on this, Anthony, if you would. This is a man who of himself says he was, quote, an extremely unhappy person. This is Anthony Robbins, 30 pounds overweight, with floundering relationships and limited prospects, transformed that to a centred, healthy, respected individual with great relationships and the opportunity for success. How do you do that? How do people reverse years of negative thinking, and how the hell do we get people to start thinking positively as individuals and collectively as a nation?
Well, I think the very first thing you got to have is you've got to get to a point where change is a must and not a should. Again, I was talking this to the players yesterday. I asked them, is this an absolute must for you to give your all every day? And a lot of them, after we really became close friends and talking about things, were honest. They said, no, it's not. It's a should for me. And most people say, I should lose weight. I should do something about my business. I should go back to school. I should spend more time with kids. But they don't actually do anything. They're just all over themselves, is what I say. The bottom line is you got to make it an absolute must. And I'll tell you when it becomes a must, Alan, is when you get to the point where you've got so much pain in your brain, you say that I can't settle for this. Which for me is, I got to the point where I was 38 pounds heavier than I am now. I was embarrassed because I was in a position where I couldn't even pay my bills, where I was embarrassed because I was so frustrated with my life. I felt like I was alone when I was in a room of people. I hit, what I call emotional threshold. And my brain said, listen, I know that who I am mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually is a hell of a lot more than what I'm demonstrating. And I went on what I call, I teach people that the way to change your life is to change what I call your physiology. In other words, I could talk to you, Alan, more like this and say,
yes,
Alan,
yes, that's right.
In August,
and that's it. And that'd be switching the set off and going somewhere else. Absolutely.
You got it. So what you have to do, it's your success. I hear it in your voice before you turn me on. You have this passion, but that passion allows you to channel different ideas. It's like everybody's had a chance or have had a time when they're on a major roll, just flow. And we've all had times when we can't do anything right. The difference is not our ability. The difference is the state that our mind and body is in at any moment in time. If you are in a lousy state, I don't care how brilliant you are, you're going to perform lousy. So the secret is the ability to put yourself in that peak state consistently. And what I did back then is I looked for technology to condition myself, because I'd lost weight before. I'd been happy before, but it never lasted. So I looked for this technology on how to understand how our brain works and how to condition it, because see, advertisers know how to condition us. They know how to go a Mars a day, and they do that whole thing, and you've got it memorized, right? Makes you work, rest, and play. Well, we have to condition ourselves so that when we think about doing the things we want to do, we do them automatically. If you have to use willpower, it will never last. You'll always be on a diet. You'll always be trying to turn your business around. You'll always be trying to make yourself more confident. It'll never last. But conditioning gives us a
reflex action. A reflex action rather than a structured presentation. Anthony, lovely to talk to you. Welcome to Australia.
And look forward. Across from me, Alan.
I will indeed.
I'm coming here only in August. It's my only chance, and I'd love to visit with as many Australians as possible.
Yep.
And if they'll contact...
we'll talk about that right now. Right now.
I appreciate it.
I've got some numbers here, and we'll catch up with you when you're here.
Thank you, Alan.
Righto, Anthony. It's Anthony Robbins. Anthony Robbins. Worth listening to.